Okay, yeah, that's mine. So good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Ignacio Lamillo Domingo. I will be here representing the Digital Credentials for Europe large-scale pilot. And our intention in these few minutes is to share our view on the value of the regulation, first of all, to introduce briefly what we've done during the project or the orientation of the project, which is based, I have to say, in the SSI approach. We are somehow the blockchain widows of the LSP's story. And finally, to say, okay, what lessons have we learned? So when we look at the key benefits of the new regulation, and this is especially for anybody of you who's not that familiar with the regulation, we see that the most significant benefit, as it has already been said a number of times, is of course the European Digital Identity Wallet. As we'll see, it will become an extraordinary platform for creating a new data market under the control of the citizen, which is perhaps the most important thing. Secondly, it is an approach that changed the rules of the game, so it will allow giving back the control of the data to the citizens, and this will address many of the data sharing limitations we've been through during these years by trying to interconnect systems. Even the single digital platform of the European Commission, which is very good and is connected with member states, presents some of these limitations due to data protection issues, for instance. And of course, if you look at this innovative approach, we have this idea of SSI somehow. We have this novelty of selective disclosure, which is going to generate a lot of interesting legal discussions. Then we have the embedded disclosure policy stuff, which is something to be fully explored in the future, but it will allow issuers to instruct users about what data should they share and what data should not be shared with third parties. And of course, it is quite connected with the data control authorities, which is very good because it will help relying parties not to abuse the data collection. Why this is good for us as public sector bodies? Because contrary to the first proposal by the European Commission that put all the business model in the hands of qualified true service provider, which is good, the final regulation has allowed public sector bodies to issue directly credentials. And this is, of course, nice because public sector bodies are the authentic sources of data. Therefore, the idea of having a modified eIDAS that will allow all public sector bodies to issue validly legal credentials is something we clearly need, and both for domestic purposes and in cross-border scenarios. This is clearly the most important thing for us. In this project, what we've done is to try to analyze how to fulfill the requirements, very strict requirements of the regulation, into environments. One is for the educational space and the professional qualifications area, and the other one, which is working package 5, by the way, and the other one is for the social security space. And both of them are more or less connected through the type of use cases we've been testing. The approach in this case has been to do a very big number of small taste tests, so we could learn many things about what things can work, what things are not going to work, what things we should investigate further, and so on. We've been more or less 100 entities, and the focus has been clearly public, so not that much in the QTSP space. The objectives were, as you see on the screen, to provide interoperability and scalability, to test whether it is possible for a huge number of public sector bodies to issue, to show how a decentralized approach can be actionable. And in fact, we decided to leverage all the work that has been done in the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure, which is a member states driven with the Commission project that has been running since 2018, and it's delivering some results. By the way, the eIDAS2 regulation is the first regulation in the world that has given full legal effect to electronic ledgers, including distributed electronic ledgers, and this is going to be very helpful for the implementation, and of course to enhance the privacy of citizens. This is the structure of the project. Important thing in terms of use cases, look at working package 5, educational credentials. There will be tomorrow a few sessions about that. Social security use cases. The most important one, in my humble opinion, is the European Health Insurance Card, which is to be issued to millions of European citizens, and this has been tested. As I said before, the idea is that we have been testing around the idea of having a hybrid trust model, where we leverage all the benefits of the European Digital Identity Wallet, plus we leverage all the benefits of having decentralized ledgers acting as verified data registries for being able to verify additional information from the perspective of the rallying party. And in fact, if you look at how it works, we have the classical structure, issuer, user, verifier roles, with the idea that instead of necessarily going to centralized repositories to look for the information to make the informed decision about the reliability of the content, we use a blockchain for that. So the novelty of this project, and this is something that can be a complement for several non-regulated spaces built on top of the wallet, is that we complement the information which is provided by the regulatory authorities under the umbrella of the regulation, which is very good. It is a very big value, with any other information that might be useful for allowing a reliant party to understand whether the content of a credential is reliable or not. And believe me, this is going to be very important in an international context. While we have a very well-regulated solution for the European Union bubble, we still need to be able to allow holders to present credentials everywhere in the world. And in this case, there are other institutions, there are other frameworks that can benefit from reading information which is written in a secure and trustworthy ledger, so this can be verified everywhere, even outside of the boundaries of our regulation. So finally, this means that after this process, we've learned a number of lessons. And here are the 4 most important lessons from my perspective. Of course, the first one is that the EDIP is effectively an extraordinary platform to transform the way authentic sources, meaning public sector bodies, can share data, overcoming the current limitations we have with interconnected platforms. Therefore, this is good. Then we envisage a big number of issuers that will not be neither qualified through service providers or notified public sector bodies. Qualification is expensive, it's difficult, it's hard. Notification as public sector body is the same, cumbersome and hard problem. And of course, it can prevent many public sector bodies to become issuers. This means that we can use this hybrid trust approach by combining and putting additional information in a blockchain to protect users and relying parties so they can check any other information which is not available under the regulated space using our blockchain services. And this can be made internationally available. Therefore, we are starting to think on a hybrid approach, combining classical PKI with decentralized PKI. And finally, of course, if we want this to be usable everywhere, we need to combine. We not only need to put additional information in a blockchain, we need to connect this with global identity federations. Perhaps we need more work to decide how we can have relying parties acting as intermediaries connected with these global federations to be sure that this works. Thanks.